Shalom, y'all. It's your favorite Jersey girl. So I was watching some videos on Christianveiling. Apparently, there's, I don't want to call it a trend, but I've just been noticing it on TikTok that a lot of women are starting to do Christianveiling, and they're using the scriptures from 1 Corinthians chapter 11. And so when I was researching on what Christianveiling was, judging from, and I just want to give clarity on it. So just in case anybody was wondering, like me, what Christianveiling was. I mean, you can Google it or whatever, but it doesn't really give you the biblical meaning of what it is. So there is no biblical Christianveiling. Let's just be clear about that. It's not in the Bible, a biblical Christianveiling. So what 1 Corinthians is talking about in chapter 11, under the veiling of the woman, verse 6 says, and we're just going to go to verse 6 because verses 1 through 6 is talking about the man being covered. It's talking about the protocol, God, man, and then woman. And then verse 6 says, for if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn, which means shaven. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. And then it says, so my commentary, and I'm reading from the King James Version, my commentary for that says, it be a shame for a woman to be shorn. In Corinth, it was not uncommon for prostitutes and loose women to shave their heads and wear blonde wigs, signifying their availability to men in the streets, just as no respectable Christian woman would go out in public dressed as a prostitute. It is equally important that she not participate in public worship without a head covering. So that is meaning that women were not to go out looking like prostitutes. It was more of a modesty thing and to show that they were separate from the prostitutes, because the prostitutes would often shave their heads and present themselves to men. And it is saying that if Christian women go outside like that, they are not to look like the prostitutes. They are to cover their heads to signify that they are different, that they are set apart from the prostitutes. So that's the first thing. Then the second thing is verse 8. Now let's go back to verse 7. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and the glory of God, but the woman is the glory of the man. For the man is not a woman, but the woman is of the man. The man is not of the woman. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels. Now that's verse 10, and that word power is translated to authority, and the authority over her head is the man, is not a cloth covering. So wearing a cloth covering, if you're going to do it for modesty, or if you're doing it for prayer, or if you're doing it to go out in public, just understand the meaning of why you're doing it. It initially symbolizes the covering is not literal. It is the man that is the covering of the woman. And then it also goes into separating yourself from worldly women. So if you're wearing a head covering and you're separating yourself from worldly women, then you are to wear that outside. You are to do that all the time. Wear it outside, and not just, not just for fashion, or not just in the house or anything like that. So that's what that is talking about. It is to separate yourself from prostitutes, loose women, or worldly women. And the second part of verse 10, it says, because of the angels. And that means the reference is to the holy angels who elsewhere are spoken of as ministering spirits. The keynote of Paul's thought is submission to the divine order of things. Women should demonstrate the same sense of submission to God in recognizing their true position and fulfilling his claims, as do the angels who know nothing of insubordination among their ranks. So again, women should demonstrate the same sense of submission to God and recognizing their true position. Their true position is under the man. The man is the covering. The woman is under the man. So again, it's not a literal head covering, but it's speaking of the man being the covering of the woman. Now, should you not veil? No, I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it represents humility. I think it represents the posture of your heart. I think it represents modesty. So I think it's a beautiful thing, but I just want to share what wearing a veil for women really means, and is more of symbolic of your position in the kingdom, honestly, because God said it's God, man, and then the woman. And the man is the covering of the woman, as Christ is the covering of man, and God is the covering of Christ. So it's not an actual veil. So let me know what you think in the comments. I mean, if you found something different, if you think something different about it, let's talk about it, right? Well, so now you know. Shalom till the next video.